A finished car rolls off this line every 55 seconds. Toyota builds one in about 17 hours of work, while its rivals took nearly twice that. Not because their robots are faster. Teslas are newer. Their real enemy was waiting. So they built a factory to kill it. Here's the system. Here's the first thing almost nobody realizes. Toyota doesn't build cars to sell them. It builds a car only after a customer has already bought one. Every step upstream, welding, painting, stamping, only moves when the step after it asks for the next part. The whole factory runs backwards, pulled by real demand instead of pushed by a forecast. That single inversion, pull, not push, is the seed of everything else you're about to see. To see why that matters, look at what everyone else was doing. For most of the 20th century, car making meant one thing: scale. Henry Ford's genius was the moving line. Make one model in enormous batches as fast as humanly possible. Stamp 10,000 identical door panels, stack them, feed them to the line. The logic felt obvious. A big machine running flat out is efficient, so keep it running flat out. But watch what that actually creates. Those 10,000 panels sit in a warehouse for weeks. That's cash, frozen as metal on a shelf. If panel 400 has a defect, so do the 9,600 stacked behind it, and nobody finds out until they're bolted onto cars. The warehouse hides the mistake, and when the market wants a different model, all that inventory becomes scrap. I've walked factory floors where you could read a company's whole problem from how high the stacks were. And when MIT finally measured what those stacks were hiding, the number was brutal. Hold on to it, I'll show you in a minute. After the war, Toyota couldn't play this game anyway. Japan was capital-starved. Toyota had almost no cash, a small home market that wanted many models in tiny numbers, and no room for giant batches. The American playbook was impossible. So an engineer named Taiichi Ono asked a heretical question. What if inventory isn't an asset? What if it's the disease? Ono's answer became the first pillar of the Toyota production system. Just in time. Every part arrives exactly when it's needed, in exactly the amount needed, not 1 minute or 1 unit sooner. No warehouse. The inventory isn't managed, it's deleted. But just in time only works if the whole line moves to a single heartbeat. Toyota calls that heartbeat takt time. Take the minutes you're working today, divide by the number of cars customers actually ordered, and you get the pace the line must hold. If buyers want a car every 55 seconds, every station gets exactly 55 seconds. No more, no less. Takt turns demand into a metronome the entire factory can hear. Now watch what that unlocks. Instead of building parts in huge batches and hoping they fit, Toyota moves 1 unit at a time, station to station, in continuous flow. One car's frame flows into welding, while the next flows into stamping behind it. A river, not a series of dams. This is one-piece flow, and it sounds slower. It is the opposite of slower. Because when you move one piece at a time to a fixed beat, a defect can't hide inside a stack of 10,000. It surfaces at the very next station, in seconds, while the evidence is still warm. The batch factory finds its mistakes weeks later, in the warehouse. The flow factory finds them immediately, at the source. And here's the number I promised you. When MIT put a classic American batch plant next to Toyota's, the batch plant was shipping about 130 defects for every 100 cars. More than one built-in fault on every car, sitting in the warehouse until a customer found it. Toyota's line, 45. Same era, same buyers, 3 times the quality. Same workers, same robots. Completely different economics, built entirely out of when things happen. So the line finds mistakes fast. But finding a mistake is useless if the line keeps running and buries it anyway. This is Toyota's second pillar, and the one that still shocks people. It's called jidoka, roughly automation with a human touch, and its symbol is a simple cord strung the length of the assembly line. That cord is the andon, and any worker at all, is allowed to pull it and stop the entire line. Think about how insane that sounds to a traditional plant boss. A line building a car every 55 seconds is worth thousands of dollars a minute, and Toyota handed the power to halt it to the newest person on the floor. The old philosophy was the exact opposite: Never ever stop the line, problems get fixed later, downstream. Keep the machine running at all costs. Toyota bet the other way, and here's the logic. If a worker spots a defect and pulls the cord, a team leader is there in seconds. Often the line doesn't even fully stop, it's fixed inside that station's takt window. The problem gets solved once, at the source, by the person closest to it, instead of 1,000 times, later, by people guessing what went wrong. A stopped line is loud, visible, embarrassing, and cheap. A defect that escapes is silent, invisible, and enormous. Toyota chose the loud, cheap problem every single time. Which raises the obvious question. If it's this simple, why couldn't the richest car maker on earth just copy it? The third pillar is how the line signals what it needs, and it's almost comically low-tech. It's a card, in Japanese, kanban. When a station empties its bin of parts, it sends the card back up the line. Send one more. No card, no production. The card is permission. That's the whole inventory system, a stack of cards that makes overproduction physically impossible because nothing is built without a card asking for it. And underneath all three pillars is one idea Toyota treats as sacred: kaizen, continuous improvement. Every worker is expected every day to find one small way the system wastes less. Not the managers, the people doing the work. And this isn't just manufacturing, I've seen it everywhere. I once walked into a hospital ward supply room and found exactly this: a cupboard stuffed with medical supplies, half of it expired, some items wildly overstocked, and the one thing the nurses actually needed that morning, missing. That's the batch mindset again: pile it high and hope. Now picture the opposite, a controlled inventory holding only what the ward needs for the day, topped up by a simple kanban signal, always fresh for the patients. The same idea Ono had on the line, in a completely different world. So whenever I audit an operation, the first thing I look for is never the machines. It's the shelf, the place where the work sits waiting. Which brings us back to the question: if the system is just a metronome, a chord, and a stack of cards, why couldn't General Motors copy it? Because in 1984, they did get to. Toyota and GM opened a joint factory in California called NUMMI. Inside an old plant GM had shut down for being the worst in the company. Toyota ran it their way. Within about 2 years, that same building, with many of the same American workers rehired, was producing cars at Toyota-level quality, with a fraction of the defects. The proof was undeniable, and GM took it home. And then GM mostly failed to spread it. For 20 years. Because the Toyota production system was never really about the cord or the cards. Those are just the visible tools. The real system is a culture, trusting a line worker to stop $1 million line, treating inventory as a disease, chasing tiny improvements forever. GM could copy the tools in an afternoon. It could not copy the trust. It kept the andon cords and told workers not to pull them. And it isn't only GM. Fast forward to 2018. Tesla tried to build the Model 3 on a hyper-automated line, robots doing almost everything, and nearly drowned in what Elon Musk himself called production hell. His verdict afterward was blunt. The excessive automation had been a mistake, and, in his words, humans are underrated. He just rediscovered, the expensive way, the exact lesson behind that cord. Some judgment can't be handed to a machine. Which is the part that should make you a little uncomfortable. Because the thing neither company could copy isn't Japanese. And it isn't about cars, it's about your work. Right now, somewhere in how you operate, there's a stack. Unread messages, half-finished projects, approvals waiting on one person. That stack is inventory. It's freezing your time and hiding your defects, exactly like 10,000 door panels. Toyota's real lesson was never how to build a car. It's this. Your bottleneck is almost never the machines. It's where the work waits. Once you can see that, you can't unsee it. So here's the whole system on one card. Just in time deletes the warehouse. Parts arrive exactly when they're needed. Tag time gives the line a single heartbeat. Jidoka, the andon cord, lets anyone stop the line and fix a problem at its source. Kanban, a simple card, makes overproduction impossible. And kaizen improves the whole thing, a little, every single day. None of it is really about robots. It's about where the work waits. That's the thing about systems. Spot one, and you start spotting them everywhere. Next, we take apart Amazon and how it turned waiting itself into the most efficient machine in retail. That one's a good one. That's the channel. Every week, one more system pulled apart, so you get sharper at how your own work actually runs. Subscribe, and you'll never look at it the same way again. And a like helps the next operator find it.